As to control, I think you never really want to cede control of the finances to anyone. And so I see that a lot. People come into my office, they have absolutely no idea what's in the accounts. They have no idea how to access the accounts. Someone may have been in control in a good way or in a negative way, such as financial abuse, which we certainly see on a very frequent basis. And then if you really don't understand your finances, find a financial advisor.
Buckle up for a new episode of the S.H.E podcast, the show where we have real and raw conversations to inspire and empower you to be seen and heard so you can create balance and everything you want in your life and business. I'm your host, S.H.E, and I'm excited to walk alongside of you on this journey of being seen, heard, and empowered. Hello, and welcome to another episode of the S.H.E podcast. Be seen, be heard, be empowered. And do we have a really cool conversation for you today? This is a journey that I've been through. So my guest is going to share her journey and how she got started in her career, which is very interesting. And part of my journey of how I stepped into entrepreneurship is similar to how she started her career. So I'm really excited to have this conversation. So welcome, Lisa Zeiderman, to the show.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Heidi. I'm delighted to be here.
I am really excited to have you. So before we dive in, Lisa, I'm just going to give everyone a little background about you, and then we will hit the ground running. So sure. Lisa Zeiderman is managing partner at Miller Zeiderman LLP, based in New York, a matrimonial attorney, CFL, and certified divorce financial analyst. She regularly handles complex financial and custody divorce matters, as well as pre- and post-nuptial agreements for high net worth individuals. Named to the Crain's New York list of notable women attorneys for 2021 and 2023, as well as a Crain's New York notable diverse lawyer for 2022, and a Hudson Valley Best Lawyer in 2022, 2023, and 2024, among many other awards. Lisa is a founding member of the American Academy of Certified Financial Litigators and a member of the panel for attorneys for children. And Lisa has an extensive bio and a lot of accolades, and we're going to share that all in the notes. So make sure you learn more about Lisa there. And we're also going to dive in here today. So Lisa, I usually start the conversation with every woman that we bring on with your journey. Now you're a matrimonial attorney. Is this journey something that you had a passion for and went to school for, or is this something that came from something that occurred in your life or something you moved through personally?
So initially, Heidi, my passion was to be in the fashion business. And I actually started in the fashion business. I had worked straight out of high school for Macy's New York, at that point in Manhattan, and I was a sales manager, part-time sales manager in the Cellar, what they called the Cellar at those days, which was this cool place for housewares, etc. And then actually worked for a company on 7th Avenue, a very well-known manufacturing company, probably one of the top manufacturing companies at that point, in young designer clothing for women. And then opened my own showroom on 7th Avenue and worked with young designers across the country, some from Chicago, some from California, and used to travel to all the trade shows. And I would be in Florida, actually, and California and Texas and Chicago, and did all of those trade shows. And then I went through my own divorce. And as I was going through my own divorce, I thought, I really am finding that there is a lack of someone out there who is prepared, responsive, interested in the work, frankly, and who can be a strong advocate. And I made my search myself, obviously, for my own well-being at that point. And there was a lot lacking in who you could find. And so I decided at that point that I wanted to go to college, get my BA, and then go on to law school and become a matrimonial attorney, which I did. I graduated Fordham when I was 42 years old.
Wow.
In Fordham Law School. So yeah, when I was 42.
That's amazing. So for any of you listening, if you have a passion or an interest in something and you haven't got after it, go after it, right? Lisa's proof that you can do multi things, and we're all multi-diverse in our interests. So I think that's really, really cool. And what a big pivot, like completely different, which is really exciting. So I'd love to dive into the fashion thing. That's really intriguing that you did that. And I went through a divorce myself. So I agree with you. This is something that women need. And I know you can help them with their financial literacy too. So I want to dive into that. So what would you say in regards to building your business, what was your biggest challenge that you faced when you were starting out, especially with this big transition and pivot?
So I think the biggest, I would say, challenge is building your team. I think that is really the biggest challenge that people have, particularly in today's labor market. It's very hard to find great people, and then you have to figure out how you're going to keep those great people. And in order to do that, you have to show flexibility. I think COVID actually was a good lesson in that. You had to be able to show a lot of flexibility, and it was a way, actually a path that people learned how to work from home, how to work hybridly, how to be self-sufficient, how to be self-starters, all of those things. And so I think that if you give the tools to your team and you show flexibility and you show empathy for what their situations are as well, and understand that everybody is not built the same, that you can actually build a very, very strong team. And so I think I have an incredibly strong team at this point, and I'm very grateful to all of them because they do great work. There's smart lawyers and smart paralegals, and but I think that was the biggest challenge to grow.
Wow, I've never heard somebody say flexibility is really key, and I think that's very, very true. Especially as women, we're juggling a lot of different hats, right? So I think that's really awesome that you brought that into the forefront and that you share that lesson, because I agree with you and I haven't heard that before. So it's a great perspective. So what would you say, like if somebody was building, could you give like one or two tips on what they should be focusing on when they're starting out in their journey?
Sure. I think the first thing is that you really need to focus on your building of your revenue as opposed to expenses. I know everybody always focuses on what their expenses are and trying to lower their expenses. I think if they poured the same energy into building their revenue, giving good service to their clients, making sure that they were responsive, etc., they will build their revenue and their expenses aren't going to matter as much. And so I would say to you that that's probably the biggest tip of all. And then, of course, client service. It takes a lot to get a new client, right? And so you want to make sure that you keep the client as happy as they can be. Look, every client is not going to always be 100% happy. It's just, particularly in what we do, there is so much stress financially and with their children, etc. So you're not going to make every client happy, but you certainly want to make the real effort to do so.
And that's a great thing that you just brought into what I thought about, like moving through my divorce myself. I didn't have any like idea what to do financially. I was a stay-at-home mom, so I was not a financial provider, and I was heavily involved with my kids. And that's where my story comes into place of like that, where I stepped into entrepreneurship and I worked 2 jobs and still I'm learning financial literacy and responsibility and all of that, because I didn't have to worry about that for 10 years. So what would you say to women who are listening, who, whether they're coupled, right? They're in relationship, they're moving through a divorce, or they're single. What are some key steps? And I know you have a not-for-profit that I want you to talk into too, on how that you are on the board of this, and how it helps women provide for or learn financial literacy and help provide for themselves in their future.
So I'll start just generally. And generally, I think that women, and this is very general, right, that women tend to be hands-off financially, that they're okay with somebody else taking the reins in terms of watching the bills, watching the accounts, making sure that everything is paid for. And that is not a good plan for someone's future. And I think it starts when people are young and they are going through college, etc. They need to take control of their finances, and they need to understand what their credit cards are, what their spending is, what their budget is, what they are saving for. It's never too early to save for retirement, and starting that IRA early, starting that Roth IRA early. Those are all really important things to do. I think when people get married, it's really important to have a roadmap of how that's going to look in the event of a divorce. It's a possibility, and you have to consider it. And so having a prenup is super important. We do a lot of prenups now, more than ever probably. And I think that it provides a few things. I think it provides transparency as to everybody's finances, because you need to actually have that transparency to enter into the prenuptial agreement. It allows you to talk about difficult topics with your soon-to-be spouse, and those are financial topics, and that opens the door to have more discussions. They may not be easy discussions, particularly when you want to be as romantically inclined as you do as you're getting married, but they're good discussions to have. And it also provides you with a roadmap of what's going to happen in the event of a divorce. So is there going to be a situation where you're going to negotiate an alimony package if you're a stay-at-home mom? Are you going to figure out how equitable distribution is going to take place? In New York, for example, is everything going to be divided 50-50? Or are you each basically going to be forging your own way, and therefore you have to make sure you build your career, because you're going to each put your income into your own accounts, and it's going to be yours, separate property, and there'll be no alimony or spousal support. And that's an important factor too in considering whether you're going to be a stay-at-home parent or you're going to be out there forging your way in a big way in the workforce. As to control, I think you never really want to cede control of the finances to anyone. And so I see that a lot. People come into my office, they have absolutely no idea what's in the accounts. They have no idea how to access the accounts. Someone may have been in control in a good way or in a negative way, such as financial abuse, which we certainly see on a very frequent basis. And then if you really don't understand your finances, find a financial advisor and grab your spouse and go to the financial advisor. And don't do what some people do, which is they leave it to their spouse to go to the financial advisor. They don't even attend the meetings. Make sure you go, make sure you make time. This is like going to a checkup with your doctor. You're checking up on your financial situation. So, and your financial health and well-being. So that I think is extremely important. You mentioned this organization, it's Savvy Ladies. People can find it at savvyladies.org. It's a phenomenal organization. I am chair of the board, and what it does is it provides women with a way to access a free helpline where they can actually be paired one-on-one with a financial professional to answer their financial questions. So you go to savvyladies.org, and there's also an app which you can download that NASDAQ actually helped design with us.
Wow.
And you can put your question in there or fill out the form, and you will be paired very quickly with a financial professional who will help you. And you can go back to Savvy Ladies if you have more questions. And it's a phenomenal way to do this. You are getting a consultation essentially with someone, and it is one-on-one. It's not a chat. It is definitely either a phone call or a Zoom or something to that nature. In addition to that, there's webinars and seminars and panel discussions, and we're doing a big gala on October 28th. So we're very excited about that at the NASDAQ headquarters.
Amazing. And I really like that you have this resource for women, because I know for me, and I'm sure many women feel the same, we don't know who to trust, right? And it's like walking into a car dealership. You just assume you never feel like you're getting a good deal, like I'm getting ripped off somewhere. And same thing with when you're talking to financial advisors, like you don't know, unless you're somebody who's a friend of the family or is in your family. It's like, am I really being told the right thing for me to do? Am I being taken advantage of? What are their fees involved? Are they charging me more than they should? And we're not really big shoppers, right? Some of us aren't. We're just like, we want to trust who we're talking to, and we don't have the time, especially for a single mom with kids. We're working jobs, or building a career. We don't have time to go price shop. Right. So I think this is such an amazing, incredible resource. And I'm so grateful that you're here and we're able to share it. So if you're listening and you don't know what you're doing financially, or you're kind of on a path and you want to branch out and like expand more and see where you can go to create your financial stability, then definitely reach out to savvyladies.org and to Lisa. I'm sure she'll be thrilled to help you and support you and guide you in the right direction. So Lisa, when it comes to, I really just love that you have this Savvy Ladies. I just never knew that this even existed. And I feel like for many women, this is going to be like a little burden or relief to them when they hear it. So let's talk about the women that are listening, and some of them are moms. And I have a teenage daughter who's 15, and I know I should probably be teaching her financial responsibility now. So as moms with kids, what should we be teaching them? How early should we start? And what's the best way to do to make it, I don't know, especially the younger, making it fun, because they want it. Like, I know my son spends it as soon as he makes it. My daughter's or gets it. My daughter's a saver, right? She waits and she watches and she's strategic. So what do we do with our kids? How early should we start? And what's the best way to help make this fun and do something to help them see the benefits of saving?
So look, my theory about this is it's twofold. I think that when kids are working, spending is also important because they have to learn that they actually may achieve certain goals that they have, right? Whether it to be to buy those new sneakers or whether it to be to eventually buy that car that they want or whatever it is, right? They have to see the fruits of their labor. And so I do think it's important that we emphasize saving when kids are young, but I also think it's important that we emphasize the fact that hard work gets you a path to achieve your goals. And so I think that that's very important. I think that they see by example what you're doing. And so we always talked about finances in front of my daughter. We talked about savings and we talked about spending, and we were very honest and open about it. And I think that kids need to understand that things are costly, particularly in this day and age, and that there's limitations, and that saving is a great thing. But I do think that to be fun and to motivate them to work, because that's really what you want. You want to motivate them to work and to do well in school and to feel satisfied in that way. I think it's important to show them that spending is okay too.
Yeah, I think that's great because I think my goal as a parent is to raise contributing humans that are contributing and making a difference in the world. And yes, it's great to save and everything. And it's also you get to reward yourself. And I'm a big believer, and I tell my clients who are entrepreneurs, I'm like, you get to celebrate your wins along the way. So if you have a big client come in or you're having a great month, like, what do you want to reward yourself with? Think ahead of that. Get excited about it. What's the feeling that overcomes you when you think about it, going out and buying that, or even just celebrating yourself? So I think that's great that you talked into that. You mentioned earlier, you were talking about, with the prenups and I know I mentioned in your bio that you work with prenuptials and postnuptials, and a lot of people have this, I guess, I don't know if stigma is the right word, or this negative thought when it comes to a prenup, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they're asking me for a prenup. Like, how dare they? When you made a good point, I'm curious, are you seeing more prenups in the older generations? Are you seeing like more in the younger now, or is it kind of like a balanced act? And my second part of that is, I really liked that you talked into prenups, because I think when it comes to divorce, some divorces become so bitter because they did not plan ahead. So for those of you who are considering getting married, yes, we never walk into a marriage thinking we're going to get divorced. Otherwise, why would we marry that person, right? But at the end of the day, a lot of stress comes from financial issues. And like Lisa was saying, you pre-plan this. That's going to take one of those things right off the bat, right off the table for your marriage that could cause you a reason to be on the divorce trail.
So look, I'm going to say this. Prenups do have, for some reason, a stigma. And it doesn't really need to be that way. I think that, like anything else, I adopted my daughter, right? And I adopted her at birth. And we always talked about, just as regular conversation, she was adopted. She was always my daughter, and I love her dearly and with all my heart. But it was never a secret, right? It was something that was part of the conversation. I think that the same goes with introducing the idea of a prenup. I don't think that introducing the idea of a prenup at the last moment, just a few weeks before you're getting married, is the way to go. And I think that that's what builds the stigma. I think if you introduce it much early on, it doesn't have to be the first date, but pretty early on, if you're starting to get serious with someone about it, you need to start to talk about finances, and you need to start to talk about what your goals are and what your fears are and what you're going to be looking for in a financial relationship with someone. Because while marriage is extremely romantic and wonderful, and certainly it should be that way, it also is a financial partnership. And you would not enter into a business relationship likely without having some sort of a contract, without understanding what the roadmap was going to be if the business came to an end, or if there was a buyout or a sellout or whatever it is, right? So I think it's a conversation. I've always thought about getting married. I'd love to get married. One of the things that I would have to have is a prenuptial agreement. I think prenups are so important. I think it's great if we can be transparent about our finances. Anybody who I ever marry, I would have to have a prenuptial agreement, just so that you're not hitting somebody with that prenup after the invitations have gone out and the wedding venue has been paid for and the band is selected and the people are on the way on the plane from across the country and all of those things, right? And so I think that it's a conversation. It should be part of the conversation. And then there shouldn't be any stigma to it because it's not a surprise. I think it's when there's a surprise that there is the stigma. I also think that, as I said, it is very often thought of as something that the wealthier spouse wants. But I highly recommend many times that the non-moneyed spouse to be, the one who may be the stay-at-home mom, for example, that she actually get the prenup because she is in the more tenuous situation. And look, I've had those cases where people are getting divorced and it's 25 or 30 years later, and somebody comes to me and they say, I was so surprised. And now what do I do? And they've been home for all those years, raising kids and being supportive of their spouse, and their spouse has had the opportunity to build a business or to build their career, and they have no ability to really do that at this point. Yes, they can get a job, but they're not going to have that seven-figure salary anymore, right? Because it's harder as you get older to do that.
Yeah.
And so you can build in provisions that if you're the stay-at-home mom, if you are doing those kinds of things, if that's something that you both agree to, that you're going to get X for X many years, and that this is going to be what you do, as opposed to negotiating it later when everybody may be more bitter or upset or jealous or any of those things.
That's a good point. And laws change. So I know in Florida, I'm in Florida, and I know the laws have changed when it comes to alimony and child support. Like, I don't know that you can, and I could be wrong, but I don't know that you can get lifetime anymore, depending on how long you were married. And that is going to hurt you if you've been married 25, 30 years and you're older. And like you said, whether you are the lower breadwinner, when you're used to this level of comfort or level of living, and then, or even a stay-at-home mom, and it's like, okay, what do I do now? So that was, yeah, really, really good point. I had another question and I lost it, but it'll come back. This is such a good conversation. And I wish I would have known you earlier when you got married. And I like that you talked into the point of, even if you're not, that usually stems from the person that's wealthier that wants this. And at the end of the day, this is what it was. It comes down to communication, just like anything in a relationship. Relationships fail many times due to lack of communication, or just a wall between communication. So if you are already communicating these things in the dating phase, then it's just going to more likely give you a successful marriage in the long run, because you've already started from day one and you're getting those financial issues that could come up down the road. And I know that resentment can come up. And for those people that do hand over everything, I did that. And resentment happens and you're like, are they being honest? Or how come I don't have access to this? And like you said, they could be on the up and up. But internally, for the person on the outside, at the beginning, it's all happy and roses. As time goes on, especially if tension forms, then resentment starts to form. And then communication breaks down. And that's just not a good path to be on. So follow Lisa's advice. If you're single, if you're dating, have those conversations, again, not on date one, but as you're moving forward and you can see this as a potential partner, long-term partner, have those conversations earlier. Take it from me as somebody who's gone through it, and Lisa has too. It's definitely going to save you a lot of heartache and aggravation and tears in the long run. Yeah. So Lisa, how can we find you? How can we reach out to you?
So you can go to my blog, and there is a contact form there, which is lisazeiderman.com. You could also email me at lz@mzw-law.com, or you can call at 914-455-1000. And I'm happy to hear from people.
Amazing. Thank you. So we'll have all of Lisa's contact information in the show notes, so you can check that out as well. Also, savvyladies.org. Make sure you check that out. they're having a gala. Do you have tickets still available? Or like, can
Yes,
people
we
still,
do.
oh,
And it
okay.
can be both remote and in person. We're going to have an incredible in-person event, but people can also attend remotely.
Okay, perfect. So go check that out. And if you can't make it to this one, you can make it to the next year. But definitely find out more about savvyladies.org, whether you need it yourself or you'd like to somehow partner with them and learn more information about how you can get involved and help women become financially savvy and literate. I think this is such a great mission. Is there anything else, Lisa, that you'd like I have one more question for you, but before I ask you that, is there anything else you'd like to share that we didn't talk about?
No, I think that the main thing is that women need to develop probably their goals into really learning about their finances. As I said, I see this more and more, and that transparency with your partner, that is so important, transparency.
Absolutely. And for you, like if you're single ladies or even married, the younger the better. Start early. Like start planning for your future. Don't wait till you're in your 50s like I am. Start early.
Or 60s like I am.
No, you don't look that
Yeah,
old.
yeah, yeah.
Whatever you're drinking, I want it. Well, thank you, Lisa, for coming. My last question for you is there anything, do you have a fun fact, something about Lisa behind the scenes that we wouldn't know about by knowing you professionally or through your social or your website?
So I'll give a very fun fact, which is that I'm about to be a grandmother. And
Oh,
so that would be my fun fact. I'm very excited to take on this new role, and it should be very fun. I'm told it's the most fun role of all. So I'm very excited about it.
that is exciting. Congratulations. And
Thank you.
congratulations to your daughter. Do you know if
Thank you.
she's having a boy or girl?
No, she will not know. So there's no big reveal here, except at the end.
Ah, that's exciting. I did that with my first. I didn't want to know, and my mom was upset, and she was like, "Can you just for Christmas have the doctor put it in an envelope and give it to me?" And I'm like, "Absolutely not. This is the last surprise I'll ever have." And then I had my son. I did find out with my son, but that's so exciting because you hardly ever hear of anybody waiting anymore. So, oh, I'm so excited for her. It was such a nice surprise. Yeah, so
Yeah,
cool.
very excited.
Congratulations.
Thank
I
you.
am nowhere near grandma yet, I hope. But I know I do hear it's the greatest time because you get to spoil them and send them home. Like, we don't have to
Exactly.
we can let them get away with anything. And with our kids, we can't do that. So,
Exactly.
well, thank you so much, Lisa, for being on. This has been such a pleasure. I've learned a lot personally. And like I said, when ladies listening, don't wait till you get to that stage and you're at that table. Reach out to Lisa now. Go check out savvyladies.org. And thank you for being here, Lisa. Thank you for being here for those of you listening. And we will see you on the next episode of the Be She podcast. In the meantime, be empowered to be seen and heard.